What is up, guys? Welcome to another video, another dopamine high. You know how it is. And today, before we dive into anything, I want to show you my backlog. And as you can see, there is a theme here: Alien and Predator. It is all NECA products. And today we are going to try and tackle this beast, because while I was away about a week ago, this was accumulating and it was kind of getting out of control, and I've been trying to beat it down. I got wave 6 for the Spartan collection out of the way, I got the 2-pack out of the way, I got the Jetta Trooper and Sev out of the way, but now that is all that is left is some NECA products. So we got to get through all this, and today we are starting off with the Jungle Hunter Predator. So let's dive right into that. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you see this, there will not be a lore segment for this video because not much is known about the Jungle Hunter. The only thing we know outside of the movie is when he died, his ship returned back to the Predator homeworld, and when the footage and documentation of his time on Earth was released, it was intriguing enough to the city hunter to come down to Earth, and of course that leads into Predator 2. But looking at the box, here we have our boy on the front looking all smexy. Then we look at the back, we have some photos and poses of him with a brief description about him, just looking absolutely like a unit. And then we open it up and we can see the unit and everything that he comes with, a bunch of little goodies. That's something I really like about the Predator figures, is you really get what you pay for. You get what is a good looking figure and a bunch of accessories, and just pulling them out of the box, just getting that first impression, just this looks like a very promising figure. So with all that said, let's dive into it. So diving into articulation, as always, you can rotate his head 360 degrees and you can tilt his head up and down. Just be careful when bringing his head up. His head will tend to pop off if you bring it up a little too much, so just be careful there. And then of course you can tilt his head side to side, just a really good range of motion when tilting his head side to side. I haven't seen a figure tilt their head side to side this good before. And then with his arms, you can kind of bring his arms up. It feels semi-stiff. I don't know if it's with the shoulder clashing with his body or what, but he can kind of bring his arms up. But please be careful when rotating his arm 360 degrees, because one of the arms you're not supposed to, because when you do, you rip up one of his tubes. So don't be like me and be a fucking idiot and rip those tubes, because now that is broken and now I am big sad. But moving on and forward down the arm to the elbow, you can bring his forearm up about halfway, or we'll have it so his arm is shaped like an L, or like at a 90-degree angle. And then his hand, you can rotate 360 degrees and bend the wrist pretty much however you want. Good to see that there. And then moving to the torso, you can rotate his torso 360 degrees. You can bend him back and forth, tilt him side to side. There's a pretty good range of torso movement here, and something I'm very happy to see. If you've also seen my Spartan collection reviews, you know how I feel about torso articulation. And then moving down to the legs, his leg articulation is alright with the splits. It's about like 75%, almost there at the splits. Then you can rotate his leg 360 degrees, which is really good to see. Allows for a wide range of motion in the legs. And then you can bring his legs up if you want him to sit down for whatever reason, but you can do that if you wanted to. Very nice to see. And then moving down to the knee bend, you can kind of get him to do a butt kick almost there. Not contact with foot to ass, but you can bring his leg up a good amount. And then moving down to the feet, you can rotate his feet 360 degrees and tilt them back and forth. So there's a wide range of motion with his feet. So with articulation overall, very happy with the amount of range of motion this guy has. So moving on to features, starting off with the wrist blades, you can have them come in and out of the gauntlet, so that's very cool to see. And then on the other gauntlet, of course, we have the self-destruct tablet, and it is very detailed. Like, you can even see the red numbers on the screen. Like, NECA really went all out for that, and not really a feature, or I would say an accessory, but you can have his kind of trophies that he wraps around him move. They're not just molded onto him, but they're rather actually being worn by him, which is really cool. Another cool feature with our boys, if you take off his head, you can put on a second head that is included where it is him unmasked, and you get to take a look at his beautiful face, all the little details and good stuff like that. I will admit that it is kind of tough to get it on. You really have to pop it on, so just throwing that out there. So once you have his second head popped on, you can actually have him hold his biomask, which is included, and you can't pop this back onto his face. It's purely for just decoration or display. So there's that, and you know, you can just have him posed with his biomask in his hand if you really wanted him to. Then moving on to one of the coolest accessories included, and that is his shoulder plasma cannon. And I think this thing just looks really cool. There's all these little tiny details that they carved in, and just this is really well executed on NECA's end. I'm very happy with how this looks. It's so packed with detail. It's awesome. And what I think is really cool is that you can actually move the cannon around. You can have it go back and forth, rotate it 360 degrees. I love the amount of detail NECA put into this. And to mount the shoulder cannon on, I find it easiest when his head's off, so the pred locks don't get in the way. But you might have to push really hard just to get the pegs to fit in the peg holes, because once they're in, they are locked in securely and aren't coming off anytime soon. So just push really hard to get them on, but once they are in, as you can see, it just stays on perfectly and it looks really good. One last thing to complete the plasma caster, and that is the blast effect that is included, and this thing looks really cool. All you do is plug it into the barrel of the plasma caster and you are all set. My only issue with it is it makes the cannon front heavy and tends to just fall over and flop, which is unfortunate. So my only solution that I can think of is put some tacky, some just like putty inside of the socket of the plasma caster, and it should hopefully hold itself up. But despite that, I can appreciate how this is included with our Predator. And one thing that's included that I think is really cool is this skull with a spine attached to it. It makes sense, it's the Predator, but I think it's just really well painted and sculpted, and just a cool addition to our Predator figure. And if that wasn't enough, we also get this skull that's included, so you can display your Predator holding the skull if the skull and spine was too much for you. But I just think that this is cool that they included it. It's very well painted and sculpted, and just think it's cool that they added this with our figure. And for the last of the accessories, we do have additional hands. So we come to 2 open hands, 1 holding hand and 1 closed fist. And before we dive into my thoughts about the figure, let's just do some size comparisons, because reference is always good. Starting off, we do have NECA's Aliens XENOMORPH. Then we have Jazzware's Halo, the Spartan Collection Emil. I thought this guy matched the Predator's energy perfectly. Then we have Jazzware's World of Halo Infinite Master Chief. Starting off, we do have NECA's Aliens XENOMORPH. Then we have McFarlane's Doom Slayer. And finally, we have Bandai's High Grade Goof Custom. So here we are at the turntable segment of the video. This is where I go over what I like, dislike, stuff like that. Basically give my thoughts, create a discussion so y'all can branch off of that and, talk about it in the comments section down below. So diving into what I dislike about this figure first, just to get that sour stuff out of the way, the first thing that comes to mind is how the blast effect on the plasma caster makes the cannon front heavy and has it kind of fall over and just flop down. Like I said, if you have some putty or some tacky kind of stuff, you can just put that in the ball joint and it will, for the most part, support the cannon and the blast effect. But not everyone has that. Obviously you can run to the store and get it for $2-3 for a pretty decent amount, but not everyone has access to that. So that's one thing that some people may find, troubling about this figure. And really, that's the only thing I can think of that I dislike about this figure. I mean, yes, I'm bummed out that I ripped that one pipe that was on the chest and arm of the figure, but that's just me being an idiot rather than the manufacturer, doing something wrong. But let's move on to what I do like about this figure. And spoiler alert, if you don't know anything about my NECA reviews, I love NECA figures, so prepare for the rain of praise, if you will. Starting off with the visuals, just the paint job and the mold itself, this is a very detailed figure. Like, even looking at the plasma caster, that whole entire piece is very detailed. So just imagine how much effort they put into this figure. Just looking at him, just seeing all these tiny little just things that NECA got is just, it's incredible how much detail they put into this guy, from the netting all over his body to just his gauntlets, the armor on his legs, the armor on his back, the battle damage on his biomask, and then when you take off his biomask, all the little details on his skin, his eyeballs, his just mouth, everything is like done almost perfectly. I don't know how NECA does it. I don't know who they're hiring or what drugs they're giving them, but like the amount of just visual representation on this figure is just phenomenal and just breathtaking at times. And if the visual representation and the amount of detail NECA puts into this figure isn't enough for you, the amount of accessories, functions, and playability this guy has is also just crazy. Like, he has a separate head, so if you want him with or without the biomask, and if you have him without the biomask but you want him to hold it, there's that for you. The gauntlets slide in and out, like the gauntlet blades, I should say. And then there's the bomb gauntlet, and that flips open and you can have it shut. There's just like his trophies that are on his chest. Like I said, I know those aren't really an accessory or like a play feature, but just they even added in like his jewelry, if you will. And then when you go to the plasma caster, like I said, really detailed as it already is, and then you can rotate it, move it around, and then they added in just kind of decorations and little set pieces like the skull with the spine. We have a blast effect for the plasma caster. There's just so much that's included with this. It's like it is definitely worth the money, which, you know, I can go into a whole debate about, you know, Alien and Predator figures and are they worth their price, and I can definitely say the Predator figures are definitely worth that $39, you know, price point, because you get a really good looking figure, you get a really good feeling figure. I will also point out the articulation on this guy is really good, and then you get a bunch of accessories. And, you know, I'm not, without going on to a rant, you know, I don't think xenomorphs should cost the same price as a Predator, because you're just getting the xenomorph, no accessories, unless you're getting an ultimate set. But, you know, a Predator comes with all this stuff, looks good, feels good, just definitely worth the price point that they're sold at. So with very minor things that I dislike about this figure, just, you know, the plasma caster, me being a dumbass, there's so much to love and like about this figure. Do I recommend this figure? Highly. It has a lot of playability. It looks really good. So this is a display and play figure with just how much that is included and just how good he looks. I just can't recommend this figure more than I already have. Like I said, NECA figures I simp for just for how good they look. Yeah, the $40 thing will kill your wallet if you collect them frequently, but if you're like me and you get like 2 figures maybe like once a week, maybe even more spread out, it shouldn't be too bad for that price point. But I just highly recommend this figure. Looks good, feels good, comes with a bunch of shit. Do recommend. Very cool NECA. Keep up the great shit. And with all that said, I really hope you enjoyed the video. A like and a subscription would be awesome. You don't have to comment because that's a lot of effort. I'm a lazy bastard. I get it. But if you do want to create a discussion down below, branch off of what I said, tell me what you liked, dislike, you're more than welcome to. If you do put a comment down below, I will most likely respond to it because I like talking about this stuff. So that's always cool. And don't worry about the bell. We both know that shit is broken, so don't worry about it. And if you like this video, I got more stuff up on the channel. I do other NECA stuff, mostly other, by that I mean I do Alien stuff, and then I have some Halo and Star Wars stuff on the channel as well. And if you couldn't tell by the beginning of the video, I have a lot of NECA stuff to get through, so subscribe if you want to see that in the upcoming future. And with all that said, have a good one, stay hydrated. If you don't, I'll kick your ass, and I'll see you later.